Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. Today's episode covers free speech and officer conduct and comes to us from Community Control's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Let's dive right in and audit the interaction. On May 14th, 2019, citizen Kieran Smith was walking down a sidewalk with his family in the village of Cary, Ohio, where he was contacted by Officer Snyder of the Cary Police Department.
You can record me because I'm recording you too. All right. Next time I wave at you, man, you can wave with all your hands, man, all your fingers instead of just your middle finger.
Oh, this one?
Yeah, that one.
That's freedom of speech, dude.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you continue, man, and you want to act like this, I'll just take you to jail for disorderly conduct.
Circuit courts across the nation have routinely dismissed the notion that using the middle finger constitutes disorderly conduct. Earlier this year, the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that flipping off cops in particular is not illegal and declared that any reasonable officer would know that a citizen who raises her middle finger engages in speech protected by the First Amendment in the Ohio case of Cruz Gulyas v. Menard. That ruling cited the 2013 case of Swartz v. Insogna, where the Second Circuit Court declared that this ancient gesture of insult is not the basis for a reasonable suspicion of a traffic violation or impending criminal activity, essentially granting criminal immunity to the use of the middle finger. Officer Snyder had no legal reason to make contact with Mr. Smith.
Disorderly conduct.
I believe this.
So continue to walk and don't say a word. Don't say a word. I'm going to take you to jail if you continue. Continue walking.
You want another civil suit on your hands, motherfucker? You better
Continue
go.
walking.
You want your sergeant down here right now.
Continue walking.
Call your sergeant.
Continue walking.
Call your motherfucking sergeant.
4200, send me another unit down there.
Sit here and my kid and my fucking wife, and you're just going to sit here and harass me like this.
I waved at you. I simply waved at you.
One more time. And I went like this.
I'm at Clan West.
Couldn't even hold my hand up.
Look, all I did was I waved at you as a nice gesture to you and your wife as you were walking. Okay? And then you turn around and flip me off.
Your point?
Okay? So I stopped to ask you what your problem is.
Is that a crime?
It's disorderly conduct.
It is not.
It is.
Did I offend you in
Yeah,
some
there's
way?
other people walking around. Look at these people, these kids.
These kids that are seeing you yell at me?
Yeah, because I
Dude,
simply
get out of
stopped.
my face.
No, you're not free to leave. You're not free to go. You're going to stay right here. As a matter of fact, will you take the dog, please?
No.
Will you take the dog?
I'm not sure. He didn't radio out with anybody.
Come on with the disturbance. Okay.
Are you serious, dude?
Yep. Go ahead. You're not under arrest. You're being detained because you're acting hostile towards me.
Here,
You want another unit down here, so I'm going to send you another unit. My chief's actually going to come down
I'd
here.
like you to know my lawyer will be being called right after this.
Okay.
My family attorney.
All right. You're not under arrest. Okay.
I am being detained.
You
right now.
are being detained.
That means I am
Yep.
under arrest.
No, you're not.
I asked the crime I committed.
There's two different things.
I
Okay.
asked the crime I committed.
Come on over here.
Don't touch me, sir, please.
Okay. Well.
You say I'm not under arrest?
You're detained.
Hey, this dude's illegally arresting me right now.
You're not under
Walking
arrest.
with my kid,
You're not under arrest.
walking with my dog, and he is arresting me.
No.
Because I was walking with my dog.
You're not under arrest, man.
Swear to God, I have nothing on me or nothing.
You're not under arrest.
I'm really getting put in the back of your
4200,
car,
I got
sir.
one detained. Come on over here.
You're clear.
Getting arrested here for nothing. My girl and my dog are over here.
You're not under arrest.
Why do I have
told you that
handcuffs on me then?
Because you're being detained. Because you're refusing to identify yourself.
Officer Snyder never asked Mr. Smith to identify himself, and even if he had, Mr. Smith has not committed any crime and is under no legal obligation to present identification.
You never asked me to identify me.
I did.
Your camera's on, ain't it?
Yep.
My camera's on.
You said
Everybody's
you're not-
camera's on.
you're-
When did you say I want
I need
your
your ID.
identification?
I need your
Don't
identification.
have it on me.
Okay. What's your name?
I don't know.
You don't know your name?
What's the
Okay.
crime I committed?
Go ahead and kick your feet in. Kick your feet in.
Sir, can I talk to you?
Yep, this is my lieutenant. You can talk to him.
I was walking here.
Talk to my
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right, LT, so I'm sitting here at the stop sign, right? I'm just watching the stop sign as this guy and his wife and kid walk past. I wave as a nice gesture, so he turns around and he flips me off. So I turn around, I come back here. I was like, hey man, what's your problem? He goes, why'd you just, I wave at you and you flip me off. Is there some kind of issue? And his wife has been cooperative, haven't had any issues with his wife or his kid or anything like that. I said, man, what's your issue? And he starts cussing at me. I said, hey man, you can't cuss like that. You can't act like that. You got people and other kids and stuff walking around here. So he refused to identify himself. I said, hey, you got an ID on you? He goes, I ain't got to identify you. So due to his hostile and turbulent behavior, I put him in handcuffs.
Officer Snyder's version of events has set reality aside. Mr. Smith did not use a vulgarity until he was threatened with arrest for doing something that is not a crime, and the officer accuses Mr. Smith of refusing to identify even though that never happened. Not only is Officer Snyder skewing this version of the story to reflect more positively on his policing, but he is completely fabricating events which never occurred. Officer Snyder knows exactly what to say to make it appear as though Mr. Smith has committed a crime, and he makes sure to lead his lieutenant to the conclusion that Mr. Smith should be charged with disorderly conduct, and it works.
Well, you have a disorderly, don't you?
Right, exactly. So that's why he's in the
middle finger, but how he responded after you.
Yep, exactly. So that's why he's in the backseat of my car. He's still refusing to identify himself. So. Hey, Chief. I'm sitting here at the stop sign like when you passed me a little bit ago. Gentleman walks past me, and I sit there and I wave at him and his wife as they're walking with they got a kid in a stroller and a dog, okay? He turns around and he flips me off.
Oh, nice.
So I flip around, I come back, and I was like, hey man, what's your problem? I said, I wave at you and your wife as a kind gesture, and you flip me off. Is there some kind of problem? And then he starts getting loud and stuff like that. I said, hey, you can't act like that, man. There's other kids and stuff around here. Then he's like, oh, I'll falsify, I'm being harassed, and this guy's gonna arrest me. I said, you're not under arrest, you're being detained. So he starts cussing. I got other kids and families and stuff walking out of the church. I don't know who it is. He's refusing to identify himself. Disorderly conduct? Oh, she's being fine.
Who she say is?
She hasn't told me that. I've been dealing with him, so.
All right.
So, disorderly conduct?
Yeah, if he'll identify himself and you want, you have to take him out.
Yep.
The fact that Officer Snyder's version of events passed by two commanding officers is a testament to the utter failure of this interaction on behalf of the Cary Police Department. The initial contact made by Officer Snyder was completely unwarranted, and none of these officers even attempted to tell Officer Snyder that free speech was in play here. This interaction is a reflection of a total lack of training that is deeply embedded among the ranks of the Cary PD.
I don't think it's against the law. You said it wasn't against the law.
All right, ma'am. All right. What is his name? Okay.
I don't want to disrespect him.
Okay, I understand that, man, but here's the thing, okay? Like I said, I waved at you guys. You waved at me, he flipped me off, okay?
What's going to happen if I give him his name? Nothing?
Okay, here's the situation. Let me just explain it to you, okay? So like you know, I wave at you and you and your family, okay? Because I'm just out here trying to, community policing, okay?
After stopping a member of the public for no legal reason, threatening to arrest a citizen because he felt disrespected, and making up lies in order to incriminate that citizen to his superiors, Officer Snyder has the audacity to describe his conduct as community policing, as he continues to demonize Mr. Smith and coerce information from his wife with the threat of arrest.
So when I see you guys, I want to wave at you and acknowledge you, okay? He flips me off, which, I mean, he can do whatever he wants. I come around here to make contact with him to say, hey, man, what's your problem? And then all of a sudden, you heard how he started to get loud, right? Okay? I got other families, okay? You can't disturb other families and things like that, because once you start doing that, now it's a disorderly conduct, okay? So either he just identifies himself, I write him a disorderly conduct ticket, and it's done and over with, and he goes on his way, or he refuses to identify himself, I have to take him in at that point.
His name's Kieran Smith.
Kieran Smith? Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Because a police officer.
Chief, it's Kieran Smith.
Is there something wrong with my claiming that you waved back?
Potentially. I'll have
Levi
run him real quick. 420.
I'm being detained right now because I went through way back at an officer who did not like it.
Will you run Kieran Smith for me, please?
Here, clear, stand by.
why he called.
I'm sorry it turned into this, okay? I simply waving at you. I mean, if he doesn't like the police, that's fine. He's entitled to that, okay? Well, like I said, I turn around and see what it was the problem is. I don't understand why I go out of my way to be nice to you guys, and he goes out of his way to flip me off and then cause a disturbance after that, okay? Just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Okay?
Did he flip him off?
I didn't see what he did.
He's claiming that he raised his hand to wave at you.
No, it was clearly that he flipped me off, and then like I said, I just pulled up next to him to say, hey man, is there some kind of issue? I wave at you and your family, and then he wanted to get hostile with me, refused to identify himself, and at that point, now he's loud and causing a scene to other people.
Well, like I said, it's not really against the law to flip off the police like it should be, but
Right.
it would raise an alarm. I would approach someone and ask them too, but it just flip me off.
Yep.
At that point, if you became disorderly and you think you have a good case against disorderly, then
I'm just going to write him a ticket for disorderly conduct and get him on his way, since she identified him for me. So. Anything back on that 200?
Mr. Smith was charged with disorderly conduct, issued a citation, and released. Afterwards, Mr. Smith went to the police station to file a complaint against Officer Snyder and was kicked out. I will link the video to that interaction in the info card above. It appears as though Mr. Smith is seeking legal action against the officer, but I was unable to confirm that for sure. Overall, Officer Snyder and the Cary Police Department get an F for harassing a citizen for exercising their right to free speech, issuing a citation for a constitutionally protected act affirmed by higher courts, demonstrating an overall lack of training in regards to the law, and completely fabricating events in an attempt to incriminate a law-abiding citizen. Officer Snyder is a prime example of what happens when an officer enforces the law based on their emotions and not on the actual language of the law. What makes this interaction even more disturbing is that Officer Snyder considers his actions to be a form of community policing. Mr. Smith gets an A for standing his ground and refusing to let Officer Snyder intimidate or control him, and for likely following up this encounter with legal action. Mr. Smith has a good suit on his hands, especially considering that his circuit court district recently ruled on a similar incident, and Officer Snyder has no excuse to be misinformed about the relationship between free speech and the middle finger. It is likely that Mr. Smith will receive a hefty settlement from this interaction, and hopefully changes will be made to the Cary Police Department's policy in regards to making contact with individuals exercising their constitutionally protected rights. Let us know if there's an interaction or legal topic you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more police interaction content.